I love this. I
You
love
know,
it.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And I saw all the things that you've done. And I actually wanted to say all the places that you've been. You've danced a lot of different places, right?
A lot of moving around.
A lot of
Which
moving
is
around.
the
Yes.
dance life. So
Yeah. So hello, Allie. How are you doing? Good to
I'm
see
great.
you.
How are you?
Excellent. So, welcome to the DJ Storybook interview series. And today we have a very special guest. Without actually saying who she is yet, I want to say that she is from she danced with Lydia Johnson Dance, Movement Headquarters Ballet Company, the Thomas Ortiz Dance, a Gillespie Ballet, the Brookoff Dance, Edward Morgan Ballet, Eugene Ballet Company, the Sarasota Ballet, and she worked at the Texas Ballet Theater. And she just graduated from Columbia University just recently. Allie Block. Hi, Allie.
Hey guys. Hey everybody.
I'm so glad you're here with us today. Now, so how has life been since you've graduated, Allie?
Well, it's an interesting time to be a graduate. It's an interesting time to be in anything, I think. It's I've been telling people I'm feeling this interesting blend of emotions right now. It's like half inspiration, but like a simultaneous lack of motivation. So I think in these weird times, it's like, you graduate, you get a degree, and like you're encouraged and inspired to use it to go out to better the world, to change the world. So I'm inspired to, get out and do all of these things. But then also I'm like, but I'm locked in quarantine, and we feel this sense of kind of powerlessness with what's going on in the world. So there are all these projects that I want to get to, but I'm definitely fighting. I think that, what are we in week 11 quarantine slump sort of. So it's getting better. So technically speaking, I graduated a week ago from today.
Wow, nice! Congratulations.
Thank you. And it was a long haul, a 6-year process to get my bachelor's. And I'm 29, so I'm older than the normal age. But I was doing it part time while dancing. So it's like this huge feeling of excitement because it's taken so long. But then also, there's a little bit of loss in it because it's been a bit of a home base and a safe zone for me. And, we all know that the dance world is a little fluxy and unstable. And it's nice to have school, which is like a stable community that you can kind of rely on. So I'm feeling like the excitement, the pride of graduating, the sadness of losing that kind of home base. In Columbia, my friends in the program I was in are, wonderful people, and just having access to them all the time. Plus the loss of like not having a live graduation, not getting to spend those last few months of school with, your community, and just kind of the uncertainty of, the world right now. So it's an overwhelming kind of package of emotions, I would say.
Allie, it's a lot of stuff. And, as I was mentioning before, as a dancer going out into the world now, graduate, even not just a dancer, but you do interviews, you might go to a location to audition or to find a job somewhere. That's something that you can't do right now, especially as a dancer, which we depend on the physicality of space.
Yeah.
Right? So let me ask you, you've been working really hard to get to this point of graduation. I'm just kind of curious, where were you the day before this happened? Where were you mentally?
The day before COVID happened?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Well, I think probably like so many of us, I remember that day vividly because it just seems like such a huge turning point in time. But so it was in New York. It was Friday the 13th of March when, everything just kind of came crashing down. And so the day before that, the 12th, I was going about my normal life, going to my classes at Columbia, taking ballet class. I think I had just finished a series of 4 consecutive dance gigs. So I actually was at that point, I had like a week or two to kind of mellow and take a breath and take it all in. So I was, just taking ballet class to stay in shape, going about my business. I've been doing some teaching. So I remember I was teaching one of my clients, and some of my clients, I just go to their apartments individually, travel around and I was at my friend's apartment, and in the middle of our training session, she got a phone call from a friend of hers who works very high up, I guess, in like the New York City government public health sector. And her friend was like, "This is not public yet, but the city's going to shut down in the next 12 hours." And so my client starts panicking, and then I start panicking.
Oh,
My boyfriend lives on Long Island, so that's where I am now. I've been quarantining with him and with his family actually on Long Island for 2.5 months. And I remember halfway through that session with my client, we both panicked. I left early, and I immediately got on the Long Island Railroad and raced out to to be on Long Island, because I didn't want to be in the city with without transportation and with everything shut down. But it was this huge shift, because the day before, I think I was in that mindset of like, oh, COVID, like, it's just another one of these epidemics. Like, it's going to be fine. We'll get through it. Not really recognizing at that point, like, the weight and the gravity of the situation. And I was just, working towards my degree, my post-graduation plan has always been, I do want to continue dancing just because I have my bachelor's. I'm not ready to retire yet. There's a shelf life on this career, so I don't want to just give it up right away. But I was planning to keep dancing, keep teaching, and keep my hand in research, because I majored in psychology in undergrad, and I do want to do a clinical psych PhD down the road. That hasn't changed, but in order to get accepted to a PhD program, you have to be pretty actively involved in research. So the day before this all hit, to circle back to your question, that was my plan, like graduate, have the degree, start building up some more research experience, keep dancing, keep teaching, keep, living life in the city, and enjoying, and hopefully making some more, continuing to make money, and, eventually do a PhD. So I suppose at this point, none of that has changed, but obviously the way we approach our lives and our livelihoods has shifted dramatically since, Friday, March 13th.
so Allie, being in psychology, it's kind of interesting. Here we are cooped up in our space. I call this space. And, we have lots of feelings. We all are going, it's not like just one we're all going through these feelings of highs. I mean, we're talking nothing in between, really.
Yeah.
How, I guess, kind of getting to your psychology brain and some of the things that you maybe, how are we going to get through this?
Like emotionally?
Yeah. I mean, we get so many tugs from the government, from the doctors, from our friends, from our family, from our emotions, our own life, from paying bills to working. What is happening?
That's a tough question, and I think there's not an easy answer to it. But I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and perfectly happy to be open about this. But I believe heavily in the power of psychology and therapy, and I do want to be a clinician and a therapist and a researcher myself one day. So to that end, like I speak to a therapist as well. Not ashamed of sharing that. And I speak. I've been speaking to her virtually weekly. I had a conversation with her this morning, and one of the pieces of advice that she has given me repeatedly through these past few months, which I have found to be just incredibly helpful, is that I think it's very natural for us. People don't want to feel sad. We don't want to feel scared. We don't want to feel doubt. So I know I'm guilty of this, and I think a lot of people are. We try to almost hide from ourselves the reality of how what's going on in the world affects us. And, inevitably, if we're letting ourselves really experience what's happening in the world and the overwhelming, as you said, tugs from the government and friends and family and, just people with different opinions out there, we're inevitably going to feel some anxiety. And I read an interesting article on this the other day that's like, a lot of people think they're doing fine and think we're not experiencing anxiety, but there are these kind of hidden ways that it creeps up on you. Like maybe you're feeling more tired, maybe you're feeling more headaches, maybe you're feeling the need to take more naps. I know I am. Maybe you're feeling the need to, maybe you're having more stomach aches. Like there are all these kind of hidden ways that it creeps up on you. And what my therapist has been encouraging me to do is just to let yourself experience it. Like it's not a comfortable feeling, but she kind of uses the image of like a dropper. Like you're taking like a dropper of like that fear, that pain, that sadness, that doubt, that confusion, and you don't have to take it all on once. We don't have to take the weight of the world on our shoulders, but just let yourself experience that, a droplet of the sadness or the fear, and feel it and acknowledge it, and also allow yourself to take a nap in the middle of the day if that's what you're feeling. If you feel that you need to take a break from work, if you feel that you need to not be productive for a couple hours or a few days, let yourself do that. And that has been the most helpful advice to me. This as dancers, and just I think in this country, we're just we're constantly pushed to be working and productive, and I think it's really important in this strange, scary time to take a break from that and to push back against kind of like the cultural system that we're ingrained in, and to allow ourselves to just grieve and process, because it's a scary time. There's a lot of unknown out there, and I think just pushing it all away is not the healthy way to cope. And I don't want to get too political here, but I'll just say this one. We're seeing so many people who are pushing back against the stay-at-home orders and wearing masks and stuff. And I have to wonder, I think we have to wonder, like, how much of that is people trying to deny the reality of what's happening out there by, oh, I'm fine, I'm going to go outside and I'm not going to wear a mask, so it's not really happening, So I think we just have to acknowledge that this is real and it's okay to feel overwhelmed by it.
I was listening, you brought up something that is valuable. I was listening to somebody recently. He was talking, we have to know it is still here. The virus is here.
Mm-hmm.
In order for us to go back to what we consider normal life,
mm-hmm.
is we need to take extra precautions now. We can't think it's over. It's nice outside. Let's go. It's over. It's done. It doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
And that's not even a political statement. That is fact. That's just
Science.
what it is.
Yeah.
So, I think what you're bringing up some valuable information, valuable things regarding to how we are feeling. When you look at the future, maybe the way I look future is different than the way you look at the future, but there's similarities.
Mm-hmm.
You start to think about what's going on in my career towards the end, but you're thinking of the beginning of your career, but you're thinking of the beginning of your career in the midst of, we can't really begin. So when there's a reality that could be a year until you perform on a big stage.
Right.
How does that make you feel?
It's like this complicated package of emotions. And I guess maybe I'm like more mid-career. Like I'm 29, I'll be 30 in a few months. So what is that, like sort of mid-career, I suppose?
Well, to me, it's the beginning. Because yes, you just began, Mal. It's just begun your career right now. Okay.
I guess it's interesting. The people who in the dance world, for example, who I really, really feel for are either people who are, we're planning to retire this season and we're kind of deprived of that what's the word? That kind of
recognition. And
like the full circle, the closure.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people who were retiring this season, and that's got to be hard, but also like to be, a young 18, 19-year-old and to be trying to break into the workforce for the first time, that's daunting already and has to be so overwhelming. In many ways, I feel lucky to be at the point that I am, at the beginning / middle, whatever we want to call it. But, to have had quite a bit of experience up to this point. And there are certain companies that that I consistently work with. So I'm not like in fear of like losing jobs. I mean, obviously during this time period, but like, as long as these companies can stay financially afloat, then I'll have work coming back. But there's definitely some grieving for not being able to be on stage this year. And in my mind, I've kind of, just for my own coping, I've kind of told myself 2020 is a wash. Like, you're not going to get on stage in the year of 2020. So I'll be pleasantly surprised if it does happen.
Good point. That's a good point, Allie. That's actually valid. But if you think of it that way, it's more like, you know what? It's a wash. And it kind of is. Even spring almost. And I would say that I would like to get on stage by spring, but it's going to be difficult. So yeah, it's interesting. I wanted to say that because we have to psychologically, at least if we're in a dance company and we're starting classes, just know you're probably not going to get on a big stage.
No.
There's no big stage happening for a while.
For a while, yeah. And I also, again, like the timing, not that the timing of this is good for anyone, but I did luck out because so I've been freelancing for the past few years, and I've found that in the freelance world, January and February are often like a dead zone. Like, there's no work, and the work comes in the spring. So a lot of my friends have found themselves in a position where they've just not been able to dance at all this year because they were kind of chilling in January, February, and their spring seasons were canceled. I had a really lucky run right beforehand where, Nutcracker season, I went right into a guesting in January, and then I went into a February season, and then I went into an end of February, early March, just like a small quick gig. So I was lucky to have 4 really intense consecutive gigs right before this. So I definitely, I definitely appreciated those moments when they were happening, but also didn't realize at the time how much I should really relish that moment. But I'm very grateful to have been so busy right before this hit, and that kind of gives me some like comfort going through this kind of dry spell, if you will. Yes. But I think it's just like, I definitely have found that the way the dance community is staying connected through virtual classes to be really inspiring, and staying with the training at home has been, it's a joy to see people through the screen. And I've been teaching virtual dance classes, and it's really nice to connect with people that way. But I think kind of keeping a sense of like, this is about the bigger picture. This is not about me or us or my company. And while I do think that the world needs art now, and I think that dance is so important to, to speak to people's emotional well-being, it's about the safety of the community, and that has to just top all. So.
Well, and just to finish this up, it's been a great interview. I love reconnecting, actually.
I know, it's been like 8 years, I think.
It's been a long time.
8 years, yeah.
Yes, I love it. This is what I love. Reconnecting with people that just haven't seen for a while. So I lost my point. I guess the point is that I do think that people need art right now, and I think I feel a sense of responsibility in a different way with somebody else to create that environment for people to get away for like a half hour.
Yeah.
And, so I might push you on a show here coming up in a couple weeks. But anyways, I feel
Please do. I'd love to.
Yeah, so I think that there's a sense of responsibility, but also we're all in the same boat. So we're all getting out of shape the same way. We're all, don't worry about it. Right? We're all getting out of shape the same way. So by the time you get back, we're all going to feel the same. So
totally. So that sense of community, we're all coming back. We're all like a little pudgier than we're used to, falling out of turn. Like everyone, like no one can jump. Like, it's
correct.
Like everyone will have really great bar work because we've all been to the bar.
Like center work, forget it.
Yeah, bar work's going to be superb. Center's going to be just a joke, like a hurricane.
Kind of funny. It's good stuff. So, you know what? I want to finish off with that. I really enjoyed this, Allie. Thank you so much.
Me too. It's so nice to see you again.
So good to see you also. But I'm going to push you. I'll be contacting you in a few minutes about the show I have in mind in a couple of weeks, okay?
Awesome.
Part of, okay? So, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Stay safe.
Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.